oddball wrestling figure cards from the 80s, a couple of unexpected cards from The Rock that are not his rookie cards, a rookie card of a WWE main eventer that's proving the internet smart marks wrong, and WCW from the Attitude Era ruling the ring, ruling the wrestling card community with their autographs, sweeping the nation. This is the Wrestling Card Market Watch for May 2021. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to Wrestling with Cards. I'm your host, Zhan. You can find me on social platforms at Zhan Morning. Each month, I like to do these Market Watch videos to take a look back at the previous month's unique sales, whether that's something really low, something astronomically high, some random oddball grail stuff that pops up that you never know. The purpose of these videos is just to educate you on prices and rarity and just general information on some of these cards that a lot of the general public may not know as much about, as well as just giving my general thoughts and opinions on the numbers, the sales, the types of cards, etc. If this is your first time watching, thank you for stopping by. Hey, and while you're here, give me one of these. And if you're a regular on my channel, welcome back to the party. Thank you for your support. And for everyone watching, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you never miss any of my uploads. And before we jump into these sales for May 2021, here's just a few ways you can help support my show. Make sure to check out the Wrestling with Cards podcast. Yes, that's right, the same name as this channel, but in audio form. I talk about a lot of things that I don't on this channel, or maybe retouch on some other subjects that I touched on in this channel, given updated perspectives. So if you like audio wrestling card content, you're going to want to check that out and subscribe while you're there. Speaking of wrestling card audio, the Worlds Collide Wrestling Card Podcast. Myself and Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com talk about all things wrestling cards, get different perspectives between two people. Also, don't forget to check out the links below in the show notes, featuring my Patreon links, my Spotify links, links to all my social platforms, links to buying me a coffee if you want to buy me a coffee. IWA star-studded wrestling figure card of Killer Klondike, 30 cents with free shipping. If you're familiar with IWA wrestling figures from the 80s and 90s, well, first off, give me a fist bump. I'm assuming most of you probably are not familiar with them though. So just a real quick backstory. These are knockoff or bootleg wrestling figures that you could often find at stores like Dollar General or discount stores throughout the 80s and 90s. They feature fictional wrestling card characters loosely, well, and sometimes not so loosely, based on actual professional wrestling gimmicks that most people knew at the time. So you may be wondering, why did I pick a card from these wrestling figure cards to feature in the May 2021 Market Watch? Well, there's several reasons why. In the past month or so, we've seen the card from The Rock, Rocky Maivia, as it states on the card, from his 97 WWF Bendham wrestling figure. We've seen a lot of attention going to that card in recent months. I've also been seeing some chatter about some wrestling cards that are featured in trading cards, whether that's the box or the package or whatever. A lot of chatter about some other superstars in this same realm of wrestling figure trading cards. So I saw this sale and I figured, why not? Let's talk about it. On the rarity side, this card is one of those oddball wrestling cards that you just don't see pop up very often, especially if it's in halfway decent condition. Because many of these were featured on the back side of the packaging, I'm sure a lot of these things were thrown out, kids ripping them open, getting the figures out, throwing the packages away. A lot of them, like other oddball food product cards, etc., people were not thinking about, hey, these could be collector's items. And lastly, the card was 30 cents. 30 cents with free shipping. I think as time goes on, when we start seeing more people come into wrestling cards, and we're already seeing it, but I think cards like this, and cards like The Rock that I had mentioned from his Bendham figure, I think some of these wrestling figure cards could be a real crossover gateway wrestling card type thing to bridge the collectors of wrestling cards and wrestling figures. Killer Klondike for the win. Next up, we've got a double dose of cards from The Rock.
The Rock has some video footage of the one thing you think you do best. So The Rock says, roll the footage.
1997 Panini WWF The Rock 4 stickers, SGC holders, $1,250. However, a best offer of $600 with $8 shipping was accepted. I want to talk about these for a few reasons. First being the stickers. The now what's become famous WWF 1997 Panini Superstar stickers. I actually did a box break of this product for charity, you can go check that video out there. And one of the questions that kept coming up during the box break, but also while some other people chattering about this set, is the pieces of the stickers. As you saw in this example, there are 4 different pieces that make up one picture, kind of like the old puzzle piece cards that we used to see in other non-sport cards, and most notably baseball cards is what I remember them in. And it had been mentioned, you know, what if people graded these and then displayed all of the graded cards, the slabs, together to make that one piece? And here you have an example of exactly what we were talking about. I suppose this answers that question. It can be done, and there is a market for it. And $600 for what many people consider not that important of a sticker is no joke. Another interesting thing about this sale is that they are in SGC slabs, and they aren't even in the highest grade possible. So you have to wonder, the buyer of these stickers, was this person just a huge fan of The Rock and getting all of these pieces stickers to display together just in one fell swoop? Was this buyer a fan of SGC or a believer in the future of SGC slabs? I'm not really sure personally, but this is another one of those sales I like to look at that actually ends up raising more questions than it does answers. 2020 Topps Finest Red Refractor out of 5 PSA 9 $725. So I chose this card sale for a few reasons, of course. The first being that, get ready, it's a modern wrestling card of a legend. I absolutely love the 2020 Topps Finest WWE cards. It's the first ever Finest product from WWE. I know there were some issues with like scuffing and clouding, and I've got some of that myself for some of the Finest cards I have. But overall, I just really like the design of the cards. This proves the fact that, yes, we know it's The Rock, but that modern wrestling cards of legends still bring in some money. So for all of you guys out there that are like, oh, I'm just collecting vintage, here's your chance to still own cards of legends of the past that you love in modern form. And you could just keep your collection going. As a side note, this card specifically, I'm not the biggest fan of. I have one of the golds out of 50, and I think I have one of the standard, which is a short print. And it is The Rock, so you can't go wrong. But the image itself, just not that big of a fan of, personally. Here may be the most important factor of this card. PSA 9, not a 10, so not the highest grade. Out of 5, so it's rarity scarcity with Red Refractor. It's not his rookie card. What?
What?
So once again, all of these things factor together means there are still deals to be had out there. There's still high-end, rare cards out there that are not just the status quo that everybody wants to shove down your throat. 2002 Fleer Royal Rumble Brock Lesnar rookie card, PSA 9, $999.49 with $20 shipping. Similar to the Rock cards I just talked about, I wanted to pick this card when I saw it because I want to prove a point. There is no denying that Brock Lesnar is a superstar and potentially Hall of Famer in the WWE and professional wrestling at this point. But many people in the wrestling community and the current landscape of the product aren't the biggest fans of Brock Lesnar. Oh, he's boring. He just does suplexes. Or how about this argument we've heard? Oh, he never wrestles. He's the champion. He should appear on TV every week. But none of that matters because the wrestling card community has spoken and Brock Lesnar is cardboard relevant. This card from the 2002 Fleer Royal Rumble set has really been established by people who collect wrestling cards as the rookie card for Brock Lesnar. This set is also pretty hard to grade from what I've seen and things that I've sent him personally as well. So to get a 9 on a card like this is a pretty good achievement. At the end of the day, I don't know if some of Brock Lesnar's cards are going to get up to that upper echelon, you know, the Hogans, the Flair 82 All-Stars, some of that stuff. I'm not sure Brock reaches that level, but he's always going to have appeal, as this card sale states. And something else I don't think a lot of people in wrestling cards think of, there are a lot of them are not always thinking about, what am I going to be able to get this down the road? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, collector first. Obviously, collect what you love because that's the best way for things to accumulate value, not trying to make that quick flip. But that being said, I don't think a lot of people looking to sell, but one thing that I think about is down the road, there could be some crossover appeal. You know, we got wrestling fans with Brock Lesnar, but there's also Minnesota Viking team collectors out there. What if they want those rare Brock Lesnar cards? There's big fans of the UFC. Brock was a huge guy in the UFC, so there's crossover there. There's even some crossover with amateur wrestling. So there's more crossover, more appeal that people may want Brock Lesnar cards in the future. Just something to think about when you're looking at cards. 1999 WCW Topps Mike Enos WCW autograph, $1,835. Yet another card that we did not think exists in this WCW set has risen up. The set that keeps on giving all of these years later. The stories behind these cards, how they exist, how they were found, people collecting them, the intrigue and history of that is actually, in my opinion, more entertaining than the cards themselves. This card specifically has a very interesting story about how it was found, but I'm going to save that story for someone else's channel, the WrestlingTradingCards.com channel with Tony Vella. He interviewed the previous owner of this card, Michael Labby. You can watch that whole interview on his channel to find out more about the story behind this card, and I recommend you check it out because it's very interesting. 1999 Topps WCW autograph, Macho Man PSA 9, sold listing on May 4th for $5,000 with $7.67 shipping. But another one sold for $2,258 later in the month on May 30th, a different certification number. And here we go again with more WCW autographs topping this month's chart, looking back at May 2021. The interesting thing about this is not the price. It's not that, hey, it's Macho Man, because these are great cards, but the fact that one of them sold for $5,000 at the beginning of the month, and then at the end of the month, one of these also sold, but a different serial number. So that's the first thing I thought, oh, this is the same card, and somebody was just trying to flip it or needed some money and trying to get rid of it. But it sold for half of the amount of the original one. Very interesting. I think these cards are kind of those cards that can ride through dips and waves. Again, it was a separate card, so I'm not sure what happened here with these sales. Honestly, you cannot go wrong with any Macho Man autograph cards, especially something from this set, especially in a PSA 9 grade. I feel like a lot of these cards are not going to grade very well. We've seen the popularity of them from a raw perspective. We've even seen people say, hey, I'll take this card if it's cut in half. So that being said, just grading the card alone, no matter if it's a PSA 4 or PSA 10, clearly you want the 10, but anything in between there, it's just going to add value and authenticity onto these cards. With all that being said, these cards in this grade, for what they sold for, I really think in 5 to 10 years, people are going to be able to look back at this and be like, man, $5,000, that was a steal for this card. Just kind of rounding out the discussion on these WCW autograph cards, the Mike Enos, the Macho Man's graded, raw, things popping up. It's gotten to the point with these WCW on-card autograph cards that no matter the grade or if it's even graded at all, and no matter if it's Hulk Hogan or Lenny Lane, in my opinion, these WCW autograph cards are a pretty safe place to put your money. I don't see them ever going down in value. They just keep getting a bigger fan base, and they keep being more rare. Not to mention, maybe most importantly, just a really cool piece to add to anyone's collection. Click the videos on the screen for even more great wrestling card content. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you there.